This is Covering the Spread, part of the FanDuel Podcast Network.
We are officially almost halfway through the NFL season, with most teams having 8 games in the books, 9th game upcoming for this week, which means we got a better idea of what the futures market looks like at FanDuel Sportsbook and which teams are actually in contention to snag a playoff spot for this year. Today, I want to dive into the futures market, outline my updated power rankings for this year based on what my numbers are saying, let you know some teams that may be on the rise, a potential dark horse to make the playoffs, and my first look at the Week 9 spreads and totals at FanDuel Sportsbook. Welcome on into Covering the Spread, a FanDuel Research podcast. My name is JimSannes. I am a managing editor for FanDuel Research, here to take a look at my up-to-date NFL power rankings and let you know where I see value in the futures market and across Week 9 at FanDuel Sportsbook. We'll dive into all that here in just 1 second, but first, a reminder to make sure you are subscribed to Covering the Spread wherever you get your podcast. Tomorrow, Ken Padgett will join us breaking down his thoughts on college football, Week number 10, some big battles in the Big Ten coming up this weekend. That is at 4 p.m. Eastern on this brand new YouTube page and also on Covering the Spread podcast feed. Thursday, we're talking NFL, then Friday, NFL player props as well, all right here in this exact same feed, Monday through Friday. Search for Covering the Spread wherever you get your podcasts. Hit subscribe, and if you like what you hear, leave us a 5-star rating and review as well. Also, of course, we are now streaming live on this brand new YouTube page. We also have our DFS shows there, Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern, so live 6 times per week, Monday through Friday, breaking down best bets and best DFS plays across the NFL and across college football on Wednesdays as well. Hit subscribe on that brand new YouTube page. Leave us a thumbs up there. And if you like what you hear, we appreciate all of you as always. Thank you for streaming us live as well over on YouTube. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more, all in the same place where you place your bets. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Again, $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Must be 21 plus and present in select states, or for Kansas, an affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/Chat, Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Want to kick things off for today by taking a look at the NFC West, because it's a tight division right now. 3 teams tied atop at 4-4, and then 1 team at 3-4 right now. So very tight division. Didn't really expect this coming into this year. We thought the Niners run away with things, but the Cardinals are a feisty team. Seahawks had a good start, have petered out a bit of late, and the Rams just got Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp back. So wanted to use this division as a route to talking about my updated power rankings heading into week number 9. Of course, the Niners are on bye this week, so nothing will change with them. But they're still 4th in my primary power rankings and 1st in my secondary power rankings. That is because they played pretty well thus far. They do lose Brandon Ayuk, that's accounted for, but now adding in Christian McCaffrey and likely Juwan Jennings after their bye week as well. So they've been good so far. They grade out well based on 24 numbers, look good without Ayuk on Sunday Night Football, and now adding in McCaffrey and Jennings, that's an upgrade for them. So they're 4th and 1st. The Rams actually are 2nd in power ranks for me in this division in both models. They are 12th in the first one, the primary one, 15th in the other. As you can see at FanDuel Sportsbook, they're 5-1 to win the NFC West as of right now. Cardinals are ahead of them. They are plus 290 because they're technically the leaders right now in the NFC West, but they're actually last of this group in my primary power rankings. They are 22nd there. Seahawks are 20th. Those two are flip-flopped in the secondary rankings. Seahawks 23rd there, Cardinals 16th. But I think that my overall takeaway here is the Cardinals are overrated based on what we're seeing as of right now. And the Niners, despite having what has been basically a catastrophic season where they've had pneumonia, they have had bilateral Achilles tendonitis, they have had everything you could possibly account for. I still think they're the best team in this division. So right now, I actually do still think it's a good buy low spot in the Niners at minus 110. Now, the Seahawks and Rams facing each other this week, so there will be some movement in this situation. I don't think the Niners will budge off of minus 110. So I do want to take them minus 110, given that the return of McCaffrey is coming. Jennings coming back as well. They did look good without Ayuk on Sunday. So I think the Niners at minus 110 are a good bet right now. I wish I could have that as an exacta bet paired with the Rams to finish second in the division, because I think the Rams are a team worth buying into. There are no exactas right now. FanDuel Sportsbook of the Niners to finish first and Rams to finish second. But I do think we can look elsewhere for the Rams. To me, the Rams to make the playoffs are intriguing. Currently plus 410 at FanDuel Sportsbook. And I know it's a tough route because they had to go through the NFC North in order to get a wild card. I don't think they'll win the division, given how good the Niners are there. That's still at least a possibility. So they've got to contend with the Falcons, or it's got to contend with the Buccaneers, got to contend with all the NFC North teams as well. But they're definitely in that mix. If you look at my preseason power rankings, I had the Rams scheduled for 5.3 more wins the rest of the way. That's probably not going to cut it in the NFC, but this offense looked really good against a very tough Brian Flores defense on Thursday, and that was with Kupp and Nacua in their first game off of injury. Offensive line slowly and steadily getting healthier. So with this offense, they're never out of it. Now they do face, over the next 3 games, they face Seattle, which I think they can win. They face Miami and New England. Those are 3 pretty winnable games. They do face Buffalo and the Niners down the stretch, and they're probably not going to win those games, but they did beat the Niners once already, and the Bills game is at home. And with this offense, I don't think the Rams are ever actually out of it. So I think that right now, plus 410, the Rams have value to make the playoffs in the NFC. Again, I understand why this number is where it is, because there are a lot of good teams in the NFC who've got a good shot at making the playoffs, but I want to buy into Matthew Stafford. I want to buy into Nacua, and I think that this is a decent route for doing so. So again, I would prefer if I could bet an exacta where it's the Niners to win the division and the Rams finish second, because that kind of safeguards me where they don't have to worry about those NFC North teams, the NFC South teams to make the playoffs. But I think as things currently stand with current markets, this is my favorite route for doing so. Rams plus 410 to make the playoffs, a value for me because of how good that offense looked Thursday night and because their schedule, not great, but also not abysmal down the stretch either. I also did want to do a quick check-in with the Browns. Now, we're not betting the Browns to win the AFC North. We're not betting them to make the playoffs, anything like that, because they've got just 2 wins so far. But they did look pretty good under Jameis Winston. And Winston, you're going to get what you're going to get, because although he played great in that game, probably a couple drop picks by Kyle Hamilton. And if he makes those picks, the Browns are not winning that game. But it's an offense that I think that we can trust with the people who are at the helm here, because Kevin Stefanski won Coach of the Year last year because of what he did with Joe Flacco. And I have my skepticism around Jameis Winston, who was not good back in 2022, outplayed by Andy Dalton in that stretch. So I want to keep that in mind, but Stefanski did a lot of good things with Joe Flacco. He kept things somewhat relevant with Dorian Thompson-Robinson last year as well. And again, he won Coach of the Year and got this team to the playoffs. So I trust Kevin Stefanski, even though he's no longer calling plays, to design a good offense. If you look back at my preseason win total projections, I had 4.2 remaining wins on the schedule for the Browns. They're at 2 wins right now. And if you look at the markets of FanDuel Sportsbook, the Browns are plus 140 to get to 6 wins for this year. And again, I had them at 4.2 remaining wins in the preseason. That means they need to get 4 more to get across this number. So I would have projected them to get over this number. Now, the offense has been downgraded because they were abysmal with Deshaun Watson. Defense downgraded too. Another concussion for Denzel Ward. Not sure when he'll be back. And Myles Garrett playing through a lot of dings and dents right now, which has downgraded his overall performance. But over the next couple of weeks, the Browns do get a lot of winnable games. Chargers this week at home, they're underdogs there, but could win that game. That money line is shortened for the Browns. They were plus 120 something, I believe, yesterday, down to plus 108 today. That's a winnable game. They face New Orleans, who's getting healthier, but still definitely not amazing. They get Pittsburgh, a beatable team, Denver, Pittsburgh again. And they do close with a very tough schedule, so I don't expect a lot of late wins for the Browns, which means they need to get this done pretty quickly. Instead of betting them plus 140, I could instead, to get over 5.5 wins, I could instead just bet them in a couple of those games if I want to buy into this offense overall. But I think they can do it. And again, the preseason number is accounting for that schedule accounts for, it had a pretty low projection on this team, frankly. I had their alt under win total for this year, which is looking pretty good so far. So that model was not super high in the Browns and does still say they're live to go over 5.5 wins at plus 140 for this year. So I don't want to overreact because, again, Winston, things could have gone a lot worse in that game because of the dropped interceptions and things like that. But at plus 140, over 5.5 wins, I think there is enough juice for me to buy in there. So we'll take the Browns over 5.5 wins, plus 140 on top of the Rams plus 410 to make the playoffs and the Niners minus 110 to win the NFC West. 3 futures I like entering week number 9 over at FanDuel Sportsbook based on my updated power rankings. Let's talk now about the week 9 spreads, totals, and money lines over at FanDuel Sportsbook and try to identify some spots where I'm seeing value for this week. And the first one is a spread for the Bills versus Dolphins. Right now at FanDuel Sportsbook, Bills favored by 6.5 in this game. Laying the 6.5 is minus 105, and I do show value there. Now, Tua Tagovailoa looked pretty solid, I thought, in his first game back. Dealt with some wins, so wasn't a lot of zip on his passes. I'm projecting Tagovailoa at mostly his full self, still not quite there, but I'm just really high in the Bills right now. That's why I want to lay the 6.5 with them in this game. They are first in my primary power rankings above the Chiefs. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Like, that seems a little bit aggressive given how good the Chiefs defense is, given DeAndre Hopkins being there. And the Bills are third in my other power rankings. They just steamrolled a decent Seahawks team on the road, and their lone losses so far this year are to Baltimore and Houston. If you look back to week 2, when these two teams played, that is the game where Tagovailoa got hurt, but he was struggling, and the offense was struggling even before that. The Bills got up big in that game on the back of James Cook, and were coasting to a win regardless of the Tagovailoa injury. This is a team in the Bills that can run the ball efficiently, which means if they build a lead, they can grow that lead like they did against Seattle this past week. It does seem like Amari Cooper is allowing the puzzle pieces to fit better in this offense where Khalil Shakir can kind of just be that slot guy underneath. Keon Coleman doesn't need to be a separator for them on the perimeter. They're fitting the puzzle pieces better because Cooper can be kind of the guy they were lacking in this offense. The defense trending up. They were brutal against the rush earlier on this year, getting better there. Overall, the defense ranked 6th for me based on just 2024 data. So this is not an anti-Dolphins bet. Again, I thought that Tua looked okay in that first game back. The defense has been fine as well, but it's a pro Bills bet because they are rolling right now. 6.5, not that bad for a game up in Buffalo. So do want to lay the 6.5 with the Bills, minus 105 at FanDuel Sportsbook. Second bet that I like for this week is a bet that I think is a bit too short again, and it's for a team that's at home taking on the Dallas Cowboys. That's the Falcons. I want to lay the 2.5 here at minus 115 because the Falcons are playing really good football right now. I think this game should be more than a field goal, and the vibes in the two teams could not be more different. Trevon Diggs yelling at reporters. He was right. He was right, but like it's kind of a bad look. The reporters are saying the vibes on the team feel pretty off right now. And the Falcons are 5-3 and have a decent lead in the NFC South because of a very efficient passing offense. And I think the key difference maker for me in this game is the ground games. My model doesn't care a lot about rushing efficiency, but the Cowboys are abysmal as a rushing team. Every time they run, it kills this offense. And as a result, their overall early down offense is a decent amount worse than the Falcons. They're about equal on late downs where it's dependent more on the quarterback and things like that. The Falcons defense is also much, much better. They're better both in the ground and through the air. Micah Parsons still was not back at practice this past week, which means he may return this week, but also probably not 100%. If he's not out there, the Cowboys defense is probably still going to continue to struggle. So the Falcons should be able to move the ball offensively, whether Parsons is back or not. So the Falcons offense is better for me right now because the running backs are not actively abhorrent and the defense is much better even if Parsons does return. So I want to lay the 2.5 with the Falcons here at -115. I've actually got this game closer to 5. I've got the Falcons favored by 5.4 points in this one, which might be aggressive, but I'm very okay laying less than a field goal at home with this team because of frankly, the bad vibes on the Cowboys, because of how good this passing offense is, and because there is a crater between these two teams defensively where the Falcons, the much better team. So laying the 2.5 with the Falcons at home, -115 in this one. The two totals I like are allow me to buy into a couple of very fun offenses, betting against some good defenses. And I'm okay with that personally. Now, my overall mindset with totals right now is I want to bet overs when I show value on them because scoring has been up big time across the NFL. And I'm trying to adjust to account for that. But my worry is I can't keep pace. So we talked about this for Monday Night Football last night where I showed value in the over and took that at 36.5. And that game did go over. If I see value in an over, I want to take it. And there are two spots where I can buy into good offenses, bet the over in those games, and feel pretty good in doing so. The first one is the Ravens against the Broncos. Total there is 44.5, and I want to take that at -105. Now, the Broncos defense is legit. They're ranked first for me based on 2024 data alone because they are elite against both the pass and the run. But last week, before the Andy Dalton news, their total against the Panthers was 43.5 in Denver. That game finished on 42. I realize the Panthers defense is not involved in this game, but we're also taking out the Panthers offense and inserting one of the best offenses in all of football in the Baltimore Ravens. This total probably should not be just a point higher than what that game was. Ravens games are averaging 56 points per game this year. They're 7-1 towards the over. Broncos 5-3 towards the over. Now, that's not a stat you want to look at because that's backwards looking, markets adjust, and things like that. But we have seen a lot of points in Ravens games so far. Again, 56 points per game in Ravens games so far this year. The pass defense still struggling. Again, got shredded by Jameis Winston this past week, and the offense hung 40 itself with 35, 40 itself twice, and they hung 35 in another. The Broncos passing offense is below average, but it's also not bottom of the barrel. Like it's okay. It's bad, but it's not awful. And they can at least do something here through the air. I had this total above 47. We're laying only -105 to get over 44.5. Now, 44 is a key number, so it is a bummer to not get a win there. But with how high scoring has been in the league recently, I want to take overs where I see value in them, and I do see value here. So I'm going to do that with the over for the Ravens versus the Broncos, 44.5, -105 at FanDuel Sportsbook. The second total where I see value in the over is in this Monday Night Football game between the Buccaneers and the Chiefs. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, that total is 44.5, over is -110, and I want to take that one as well. I've got some interest in the Bucs in this game because I thought they looked better than I expected against the Falcons. I know they lost in that game, but Baker looked good enough without Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. No Mike Evans again for this week. It's a different beast here because they're on the road against the Chiefs defense as opposed to being at home against the Falcons, but it's another week to get used to those new pass catchers for Baker. And the Chiefs defense is very, very good, but they will let up some yardage through the air. They're not a lockdown team there. It's more so they're just very, very good against the run. So I think the Bucs can do something here offensively. And I think the Chiefs can do so too. I kind of want to buy into this Chiefs offense because DeAndre Hopkins, for the first time out there for the Chiefs last weekend, Mahomes did throw another pick, but he was very, very efficient overall in that game. I believe probably his best efficiency of the year outside of maybe the Ravens game back in week number 1. I haven't checked that, but he was very good from an efficiency perspective, both in terms of success rate and overall EPA. Now they get another week to ramp up Hopkins in this offense. So I want to buy into the Chiefs overall as well. So I think that the Buccaneers underrated in general. And I think I want to buy into this Chiefs offense. I can't buy in the Chiefs offense with the spread because 9.5 is way too big of a number, but I do like both offenses. I don't like the Bucs defense. I think that all adds up to an over here. I had this total of 47.8 points right now. There is some rain in the forecast in Kansas City, but only 8-mile-per-hour winds, so not going to worry too much about that as of right now. I've got some wiggle room where Wind could go up. If I put the wind at 15 miles per hour, still got it at 46.5 points. So still seeing value in the over, even if the wind does increase in that game. So we'll take over 44.5, -110 for the Chiefs and the Bucks. So 4 bets from me for this week. I like the Chiefs and Bucks over 44.5, -110. Liking the Ravens and the Broncos over 44.5 at -105. Laying the 6.5 with the Bills at -105, and laying the 2.5 with the Falcons -115 as they take on the Cowboys. That is all that we have here for today on Covering the Spread. As mentioned, we'll be back with you once again tomorrow talking college football week number 10. Kent Padgett back with us. He's going to break down his thoughts on college football week number 10, where he's seeing value there. That'll be live on the brand new YouTube page, 4 p.m. Eastern, breaking down that. Hit subscribe in the YouTube page, leave us a thumbs up, and turn on notifications to get notified as we go live each and every weekday. Also, do not forget to search for Covering the Spread wherever you get your podcasts, and then leave us a 5-star rating and review if you like what you hear. If you got any questions for me, I am on X at JimSannes. You can find FanDuel Research on X at FanDuel Research. Want to give a big thank you to our YouTube producer, Justin Lane, for his work on the video side of things. Thank you, Justin, as always. And thanks to all of you for tuning in. Good luck to you if you're betting World Series Game 4. Good luck to you betting NBA tonight. We'll talk to you once again tomorrow to break down college football week number 10. This has been Covering the Spread, a FanDuel Research podcast.